So welcome to this summary session of the fourth Adhyaya of Sri Bhagavad Gita. We'll start with prayers to the Lord. So it is only because of the Ishwar Krupa that we are able to do this. I pay my respects and tributes to the Guru Paramparam, the lineage, the Guru Shishya Parampara, through which this knowledge is transferred. Guru Krupa of our Guruji, Param Pujya Guruma, with whose grace I am able to learn all the scriptures and I am able to share this understanding with you. We will start with a prayer. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So before we begin the fourth Adhyaya, let us just recapitulate what were the first three Adhyayas. The first Adhyaya is the person who is the Jnana Adhikari, a person like Arjuna who came to the battlefield to fight the war, but after seeing the opponents became, attached to his cousins, to his own people, to his own guru, his respected elders, and developed this moha, and that made him a candidate for this Atma Jnana. So all these Shadripu, the Kama, Krodha, Mohan, Mada, Matsarya, all these are born out of our ignorance or avidya, and this can only be relieved by understanding the Atma Jnana. So in the second Adhyaya, Shri Krishna gives Uddesha of the Atma Tattva and also talks about the sadhanas, the Karma Yoga, and how a realized person, the Sthita Prajna, what would be his characteristics, how he conducts himself in this world. In the third Adhyaya, there is the Karma Yoga Vistara, description of all the attitudes of Karma Yoga in more details. And finally, in the fourth Adhyaya, there is a Karma, Gnana Karma Sannyasa Yoga. Means that through Gnana, through this knowledge, we can destroy all the karmas, we are all gets relieved, and that is what is the ultimate goal. So in the third Adhyaya, the attitudes of Karma Yoga which have been described in the third Adhyaya are the Ishwararpana Bhava, surrender to God, to please the Lord, Ishwara Prasanna Buddhi, as if it is the God's order to do work like Ishwara Agnya, as a Nimitta Matra Bhava, to work like an instrument, to do our duties of our several roles in our life, and to accept the Karma Phala as a Prasada Buddhi, to accept and share this. So, in a nutshell, we had 4 sessions of this Adhyaya. The first session was about the first 18 shlokas, were about the incarnations and the avatars, and there is a description of the Nishkam Karma and Karma Yoga. Next 5 shlokas talks about the Gnani Purush, the Pravrutti and the Nivrutti Margya Gnani. The next 8 shlokas talks about the various yagnas and the Gnani Yagna, which is the best yagna. And finally, the last 8 shlokas talk about the Gnana, how this Gnana can be obtained, what is the process, and what are the benefits of this Gnana. So let us talk about the summary of the fourth Adhyaya. Each shlokas, the first 3 shlokas talk about the lineage of the knowledge, the Guru Shishya Parampara. Then the fourth shloka talks about Arjuna's question to Krishna about his Janma, and Ishwar talks about his Ishwaratva. 5th to 8 shlokas describe the incarnations of the Avatara of the Lord, and 9th shloka describes how by knowing his incarnations or his Avatara one can become free. Benefits of knowledge in the 10th shloka. 11th and the 12th, why everyone do not go for the knowledge, because that is described. The 13th shloka talks about that he is the Karta of the 4 Varna, but still a Karta in reality. And 14th shloka talks about one's own knowledge to which the karmas don't bind. Nama karma phale spruha, namam karmani limpanti namat karma phale spruha. And the 15th shloka about how Arjuna should do his karma according to how his forefathers have done the karma. 16th and the 17th shlokas describe the karma, akarma, vikarma, what needs to be known. 18th and 19th shloka talks about the fulfilled wise man, the karma, Gnani, Purusha. Then the 20 to 23 shlokas describe about the householder, Gnani Purush, the Pravrutti Madhya, and then the sannyasi person who is a wise or a Gnani Purush, how he lives in this world. And then in the 24th shloka there is Brahma Darshan, the Brahma Yagna, all the yagnas start. Then in the next 7 shlokas all the 12 yagnas are described, and the 33rd shloka talks about how the Gnani Yagna is the best yagna. Finally, in the last 8 shlokas, Shri Krishna talks about the benefits of the self-knowledge, how it destroys the attachments, the sins, the karma and all the impurities. Talks about the inner means of knowledge, obtaining this knowledge. In the 39th shloka, talks about Shraddhavan Labhate Jnanam Tattara Sanyate Indriyaha. And then one who is not the candidate for this knowledge, Agnya, Ashraddhadan, who is having Ashraddha, who does not have faith, who is ignorant, who is Sanchayatma Vinashyati. And then finally in the last 2 shlokas talks about the benefits of this Atma Jnana, how the Jnana destroys all the karma, leaves person from all the bondage, and that's why he tells Arjuna to destroy all his doubts and practice Karma Yoga, stand up, fight this war and do his Karma Yoga, and finally then going for Jnana Yoga and attain the ultimate salvation of his life. So let us start with the first shloka, Imam Vivasvate Yogam. This Shri Krishna says that this imperishable knowledge I gave to the sun, and Surya then passed it on to Manu, and Manu to King Ishwaku, and then it passed on to all the generations. In the next shloka he says that this parampara which began with the Lord, this knowledge parampara of the lineage, for many generations it became almost nearly extinct. And the reason he gives here is that the mind, human mind is very bahirbhuk, and people getting a lot of busy in their own work, and that's why they don't have time for their spiritual progress to get this, understand this knowledge. And that's why he says, starts his introduction that he needs to take birth. Why he needs to take birth on this, or to take the form on this material earth. He says the same original knowledge he assures Arjuna that I am telling you today, because not only you are my devotee, so to become a bhakta, but you are also my friend. But he says that to become a devotee or a bhakta is a must if you want to achieve this knowledge. To become a friend is not a must, it is optional. And he says this is a profound secret, rahasyam uttamam, uttama rahasya. And it is to be best to be kept hidden, not to be exposed to everyone. Then Arjuna asked this very, very innocent question, and he asked Bhagavan, how is it possible that you gave the same knowledge to the sun, and now you are telling me the same knowledge, you are born now, and sun was born thousands of years ago. And this is out of the Sakha Bhava, that he is a friend. He still doesn't know Krishna as the Ishvara. And the next shloka, Shri Krishna tells him about his Ishvaratva. He tells him, what is the difference between you and me, Arjuna? He says, oh Arjuna, I have taken many births, and also you have taken so many births so far. But the only difference between you and me is that all these previous births I know, you don't know any of these previous births. So that is the difference between Jiva and Ishvara. That is how he shows his Sarvagnya, Sarva Shaktiman, Sarvajnata of the Ishvara, and the Alpagnya, or the limited knowledge of the Jiva. So that is a beautiful shloka, 5th shloka. And then he shows why he takes birth on this planet, and why God incarnates or takes avtara. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyuthana dharmasya tadatmanam sujamyaham. He says whenever there is decay of dharma, dharma means the right way to live, so to protect these people, the dharmis, and whenever there is increase in adharma, wrong living, to destroy these adharmis, he manifests himself on this earth. And he also says, Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkutam dharma sanstapanathaya sambhavami yuge yuge. To protect and nurture the dharmi, to destroy a dharmi, and to re-establish dharma, I incarnate whenever there is needed. Also it is said that for the devotees, so that we can worship the Lord in a sakar or a form, name and form, he incarnates on this earth. And then Shri Krishna says, the Janma Karma Cha Me Divyam Evam Yo Vetti Tattvata. So my birth and my action are divine, and one who truly understands this, whenever he leaves the body, does not get rebirth, they get liberated from this cycle of birth and death, and they attain me, they obtain moksha, or they obtain freedom. So Tatvik means in truly we have to understand that what is the the janma and divya karma of the God, and in the same way we can understand our own Atma Swarupa and liberate ourselves. Then he talks about the spiritual journey, Vita Raga Bhaya Krodha, one who has conquered all these attachments, fear, anger, and caused purification of our own mind, Antakarana Shuddhi. And this is done by the practice of Karma Yoga. And one who becomes one with me, Manmaya, means he has a Dhyayi Nishtha, he has clarity towards the goal, and who has surrendered to me by Bhakti. And many who have become pious due to the fire of discipline, the Jnana and Nishtha, they have attained my own real self, they have become one with me, they have become Aikya. So this is what he tells what is necessary for us to do this journey. And then he says, very few people want him. Most of the people do their, devotees, they invoke, worship God in different forms because they want the worldly, material things, and that's why they worship the Lord. And the Lord says that the way they worship me, I bless them in the same way, ultimately. But he says that all humans are finally, they are reaching towards me. They all follow my path, ultimately because they want bliss and they want freedom. In the next shloka, he says, Angshantah karmana siddhi yajante eva devta. So how people desire fruits of karma, they worship different deities, and because in this human world the results of action are achieved much more quickly, and that's why people want to do karma more than what they want to obtain knowledge. Very few people come on this knowledge path because this is a long path. The fruits of these actions are not immediate, they take years, and they are not very tangible, they are not very seen. Karma phala is very immediate and it is tangible. So that's why people do not seek this path, because they have a fascination with very quick results. Then he says in the next shloka, he talks about the Vedic parampara, that he is in the creator of this world with 4 varnas and 4 ashramas, the ancient Vedic parampara of the system. And he says according to these qualities, the 3 gunas, the duties, and not according to birth, he has distributed these 4 varnas and the 4 ashrama. He says, Tatsya kartaram apiman. Even though I am the creator, you consider me as a karta. I am the non-creator. So this shows his ultimate Atma Swarupa, the indestructible consciousness. And God does not have any ego or doership feeling when he does any karma, even while he is in the incarnate or the manifest form on this earth. Namam karmani nimpanti name karma phale spruha. He says, these actions don't bind me, and one who clearly sees me in this way, that I am not the karta, he also does not get bound by his actions. So he also understands his own akarta swarupa and liberates himself or herself. So he says, tells Arjuna to do karma yoga in the same way that his forefathers have done. So essentially go from sakama karma to nishkam karma, and then from gnana become akama karma or karma from shuddhi. So this is the entire cycle that he tells us to do. He says, what is the true meaning of action and inaction? It needs to be understood, kima karma, kima akarma iti. And most intelligent people are also quite confused. What is karma, what should be done, what should not be done. And that's why he tells Arjuna, I'll tell you all about this karma in a very comprehensive way, and with this you will be liberated from the sinful world and you will achieve moksha or freedom. Karmana yapi bodhavyam. He says karmana is also worth knowing. What the Vedas tell us to do, what is akarmana and what is vikarmana. Vikarmana is something that is forbidden or nishiddha by the Vedas, Ved Nishiddha, which is something we should not do. And akarmana means actionlessness or inaction, which is also worth knowing, because it says karmanaha gati gahana. The gati or the nature of the karma is very deep, it is difficult to understand. In the next shloka, he talks about, it's a difficult shloka to understand, that how one can see action in inaction. For Agnani, he does all his actions out of his ahankara. So even whenever he is in inaction, whenever he is sitting also, he is manasa smaranan, manasa charena indriyan. So he basically, his mind, his thoughts keep wandering. And that's why one who sees inaction in action also, while Gnani, whenever he is in action also, he is in his akarta swarupa. and that's why he is the intelligent person. He is the real yogi who is wise and who has performed all actions when he feels he does all his actions out of his completeness. So that is a Kratsra Karma Kruta. Next we went to the second session. We are going to the second session of the fourth Adhyaya, summarizing what is this Gnana Karma Sannyasa Yoga. That karma happens in the Anatma, and Atma is the Akarta by Swarup. There is no karma in the Atma. So while you are in action, that is the central message of the Lord in this Adhyaya, that while you are in action or you are in karma, you must be aware of your actionless self, the Akarta Swarupa. We should always remember this while we are in karma. Shri Krishna talks about the Bheda between the Gnani and the Agnani. The Agnani is bound by action because he is with the Kartrutva Bhavana. Gnani is always liberated by action because he is in the Akarta Atma Swarupa. Agnani, even when he is in Pravrutti or in Nivrutti, he is in karma, because when he is in Nivrutti, he is thinking about the karma. Whereas Gnani, whether he is in Pravrutti or in Nivrutti, he is still in his Akarta Atma Swarupa, so he is in Akarma. And the word Akarma has different meanings for Agnani and Gnani. For Agnani, Akarma means absence of action, that is laziness. Whereas for a Gnani Purush, a wise person, Akarma means that he is doing action but doing it with the spirit that he is not doing it. He is in the Akarta Atma Swarupa. After that, he talks about the Pravrutti Marga Gnani, who is a renunciate, who has renunciated the fruits of action. He says he is a Nitya Truptaha, he is always satisfied because his satisfaction is from within. He has already given Karma Phala Sanga Tyaktva. He has renunciated or renounced the fruits of the action, and even though while he is in action, he is actually not doing anything because he is in his Akarta Atma Swarupa, and that's why he doesn't feel that anything he is doing. He knows clearly that karma is part of the Anatma, whereas the Akarta is his Swarupa, which is the Atma Swarupa. Next, Shri Krishna talks about the Nivritti Margi Gnani, who is not bound by actions, who is in balance, Samatva Buddhi, Dvandva Tvita, Samatva Yadrucha Labha Santushta. Means whatever comes to him, he understands that this is the God's will, and that's why he is satisfied in it. He accepts it as the God's will, and he rises above all the duality of this world, Dvandva Tita, and remains in Samatva and equipoise about the Dvandva. And he is Vimatsara, he never feels jealous. Most of the jealousy is because of comparison and competition, but he doesn't have competition or comparison because he knows that we are all one, we are all woven in the same thread, and we are all different beads. So he understands that Atma is different, and all this differentiation we can see the Bheda Buddhi is in the Anatma, whereas Atma is just one and it is Abheda, it is completely one. So this understanding this person has. And he is always in Samatva Buddhi, he has a sameness in success and failure, and he is not bound by his actions. The ultimate message of Sri Krishna is to take us from karma to jnana, and through jnana we can achieve what is called as akarma. Akarma means our own akarta swarupa that is felt by the Gnani Purusha. Then in the next part, Sri Krishna describes about the 12 yagnas, or the yagna prakaran starts. In the Vedic tradition, there were many yagnas which have been described, and this basically helps us to understand how we can give something or do tyaga. So it teaches the selflessness or the art of giving, which is very important. And it also helps us to modulate or sanyama, indriya and mana sanyama. Next was the third session of Gita Ji, which basically talks about all the 12 yagnas. It starts with the Brahma Buddhi Yagna, where we can see everything as just one Brahma. Brahmarpanam, Brahma Havihi, Brahmagno, Brahmanahutam, Brahmaiva Tena Gantavyav, Brahma Karma Samadhina. So whatever objects we are using, the materials that are used in Yagna, the fire of the Yagna, the one who is doing the offering and one who receives the fruits of the Yagna, they are all the Brahma. So everything is just one Brahma. That is the meaning of this shloka. The next, Shri Krishna talks about the Gnanendriya Sanyama, the sense control where we can, balance is something that we all must achieve, the Indriya Sanyama, and this is the only way we can become from Swachhanda to Swatantra. So only through Sanyama we can achieve real independence. Real independence is not in being Swachhanda, that I can do whatever I wish to do. That is not the real independence. The real independence is in becoming independent in such a way that this is done out of sanyama or out of balance, out of that understanding. And this is the real independence, and this balance is the real happiness, because here we can achieve the real happiness of our inner being. In the next shloka, Shri Krishna talks about the 5 other yagnas, including the Dravya Yagna, the Tapa Yagna, the Yoga Yagna, Swadhyaya Yagna, and says that the Jnana Yagna, it talks about the Jnana Yagna, which is the Vedanta knowledge. And then he says, who is going to get this? The person who is Yatayaha and Sanchita Vrata. Yatayaha means a person who makes efforts, who is making prayatna, who is serious for a better change in the life, who is aware, who is balanced, who keeps on making efforts and is not lazy, he does whatever he needs to do. And Sanchita Vrata means firmly he is resolved in his own change. So this person will achieve all these yagnas, and from these yagnas he will understand this samatva, giving, and this Tyaga Bhavana and Vairagya. Also, we talked about the Yoga Yagna, which is the Ashtanga Yoga, as normally we understand yoga as only the asana. Yoga asana is not the only yoga, it's just one part of this Ashtanga Yoga. Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana and Samadhi. So all these are the parts of the Ashtanga Yoga sadhana that actually wholesomely develops our personality and makes our self in complete balance and in control of our own self. Then Shri Krishna talks about the Pranayama Yagna, how we can inhale deeply and sacrifice our prana into apana, apana into prana, and control the speed of our prana, apana. And one who gives priority to pranayama in life, that is a person who can really achieve a balance. And then finally, in the 33rd shloka, Shri Krishna says that Jnana Yagna is the Shrestha. Out of all these yagnas, he says, I have told about all the 12 yagnas, different types of yagnas, but Jnana is the main sadhana which will take us to the salvation, to the freedom, to the liberation. So he says this is the most important. All the other sadhanas are complementary, like Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, all these other sadhanas are complementary. And then finally he says that all the karma finally end in knowledge. All the karmas are noted in our account and they will give us karma phala, but we must be aware and responsible while we do these karmas, and knowledge releases us from all these karmas. The different types of karmas are Sanchita, Agami and Prarabdha karma. They are all destroyed by the fire of knowledge, and that's why this Jnana Yagna is considered to be the best yagna out of all these 12 yagnas. The Shadripu were described in details that we have to fight first on this path. Kama, Krodha, Moha, Mada, Mat, Lobha, Mada and Matsarya. It's basically all are related to each other, and they all come work in very subtle way. We don't even come to know that they are working inside us, and that's why we have to be very, very aware. So these are the 12 yagnas. And finally, in the last session, we talked about Tadviddhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnanina tattvadarshinaha. So this is what we need to know, and how can we know this? Pranipatena, by going down, giving respect to our Guruji, but sevaya, by doing service to our Guruji, and then finally making them happy, and they will allow us to ask questions and they will answer our questions and clear all our doubts and help us to obtain this Atma Jnana. So ideal Guru is somebody who is not only Jnaninaha, that is knowledgeable through this Guru Shishya Parampara or the lineage, but also Tattva Darshinaha, means who has actually realized this Tattva, who has seen this Tattva, who has assimilated this knowledge. The next 4 shlokas, Shri Krishna talks about the benefits of this self-knowledge, where it says it destroys all our moha, attachment, our papa, sins, our karma, that is all our actions, and our impurities like the malla, they are all destroyed. So mohanasha, it says in this shloka how we can achieve this destruction of the moha. It is said that Bhagavad Gita is a moha nivrutti grantha because it starts with the moha of Arjuna and it ends with asking Arjuna whether your moha has been destroyed or not, and that's why it is considered to be a granth for moha nivrutti also. Evam Yasi, and he says, with this knowledge you shall see that all the beings are not only in yourself, but they are also in me. That means you will see the oneness behind this entire creation. So this is the self-knowledge that Shri Krishna is talking about. And then he goes on to give a lot of solace to many of us who would have done some sins in the past, and maybe thinking that we are sinners and we may not be able to go on to this path because we have done such wrong deeds in our life. But God gives us a solace, telling him that even if we have been a sinner in the past, but here is a chance for us. With this boat of knowledge, we can very well swim across the ocean of this knowledge, and we can obtain the Atma Jnana and achieve liberation. So he says, as the well-lit fire burns the fuel, the fire of knowledge will burn all the karma, and all the karma gets destroyed. And then it also destroys the impurities, because it is a very pious, this knowledge. And all our impurities, like our Shadaripu, Kama, Krodha, Moha, Lobha, Matsarya, all this Mala impurities will be destroyed. And this Adhyatmic journey takes time, and we have to develop this by our own constant efforts, in our own buddhi or intellect, in our own purified self-mind. And this is to be done by the yoga sadhana, which has been described in details in this Gita Ji also. And then in the 39th shloka, Shri Krishna talks about the three means or attributes of the seeker, the responsibilities of the seeker, where he can obtain this knowledge. Shraddhavan labhate jnanam, tatparaha labhate jnanam, sanyatendriya labhate jnanam. Means all these three are very important. Just Shraddha will not be enough. Shraddha in the scriptures, Shraddha in the Guruji, Shraddha in the Ishvara, and then Tatparata, our enthusiasm, our own efforts, and Sanyatendriya, control of our mind and Indriya senses, is also very important to achieve this knowledge. And without this, we cannot obtain Param Shanti. All this external happiness will come and go, but something that is eternal will only be there once we have this knowledge. And that's why he says that one who does not obtain this knowledge is the person who has a doubting mind, all the time keeps doubting, and is ignorant, has no faith. So he becomes unhappy in this world, and even after he is not here. So he tells Arjuna to arise, awake, and stand up. He says, get ready for your karma, and destroy all your ignorance with the sword of knowledge, and kill all your doubts with this sword of knowledge, he says, and tells Arjuna finally, Taspata Jnana Sambhutam Vratstam Jnana Sinatmanaha Chitvairam Sanchayam Yogam Attishta Bharata. So with this we come to the end of the 4th Adhyaya. Om Tat Saditi Srimad Bhagavad Gitasu Upanishatsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade Jnana Karma Sannyasa Yogo Nama Chaturtho Dhyayaha Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Vraja Aham Tva Sarva Papebhyo Moksha Ishyami Ma Shuchaha. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamataya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.